It's Daniel Crawford with the Inequality Chronicles. I just finished watching Donald Trump's speech before the convention. And, of course, I didn't talk about Mike Pence's speech last night. I do have a few thoughts in mind, but it seems like, according to the media, that Hillary Clinton has also got a running mate in mind. I'm hoping that it doesn't prove true, but we'll see. Matter of fact, by the time this gets published, we will probably know for sure. But let's just remark very briefly on Mr. Pence and Mr. Trump's speeches, respectively. Mr. Pence made a pretty convincing case, not for me, but for a number of American people out there, as to why people should not vote for Hillary. I'm not confident that he made a convincing case for Trump, but he most certainly made a pitch to those who would be against Hillary. Here's something that the Hillary people need to understand as a viable threat to her pursuit of the White House. And it's concerning, too, because you really have to respect this fact. The American people are largely already primed to distrust her. And they have been for quite some time, for reasons fair and not. So if you can maximize the anti-Hillary case, then you significantly diminish her chances of winning. Which, because of our bipolar system, which exists, the way it is designed, and the way it benefits the two parties, Hillary losing means, 99 times out of 100, that Trump wins. So, Mr. Pence was able to, sort of pivot in Bernie's direction, at least the one. I mean, they are completely on opposite sides of the spectrum. But bear with me, if you will. He made the case in a really good line that said that Hillary Clinton is the secretary of the status quo. There are a lot of Bernie supporters who agree with that sentiment. Just like there were a lot of Bernie supporters who liked the sentiment expressed by Ted Cruz earlier in the night when he did not endorse Trump, but he said, vote your conscience. That's a dangerous prospect for Hillary's chances. I know quite a few people out there are comfortable in saying that Trump has no chance at winning, and they may prove to be right. But a failure by Hillary and the Democratic Party to bring in the Democratic base, and we'll touch more on this a little bit later, a failure by them to do so only makes it easier for Trump to get closer to winning. Because Hillary does not do what Bernie does. Hillary does not bring in new voters. So every voter that she loses isn't necessarily a voter that Trump gains, but every voter that she loses is a voter that is not replaced by someone else. She's not replacing any voters. Bernie would have been able to replace lost Hillary votes with new independent, moderate Republican, and even Green Party votes and other old Democratic votes which had been lost for a while. And it's those old Democratic votes, the so-called Reagan Democrats in some cases, or just even blue-collar Democrats who left the party after NAFTA. Those voters are the ones that Trump is appealing to. Those voters are the reason why I think it is at least slightly, very slightly possible that Trump could have a chance. I know the demographics don't work in his favor, The Electoral College is still stacked up against him in significant ways. But those blue-collar Democrats could abandon Hillary so much, and even in some cases side with Trump enough to where it can make things interesting on election night. Now, I'm still on board with the whole, it is almost impossible for Trump to win. Almost. But it's that small probability that I'm concerned about. Pence, despite his anti-worker record and his anti-LGBT record of trying to legalize discrimination against the LGBT community, struck a very uniting tone on Wednesday night. Trying to unite the Republican Party against Hillary and trying to unite the country against Hillary as well. And unfortunately, with Bernie not being at the helm of the Democratic Party, that's what this election is going to be all about, is which candidate can unite the country and the respective countries, respective parties rather, against the other candidate. Which candidate can do that effectively? Right now, Trump's doing a hell of a job of at least uniting the Republicans against Hillary. I never had any doubt that he would be able to do so. No one unites the Republicans like Hillary Clinton does. It's what was one of my concerns about her in 2008, and it remains one of my primary concerns about her now. Trump tonight was oddly, deceptively kind of progressive in a number of things. His daughter Ivanka came out and spoke about Trump appealing for women's equality, about equal pay for equal work, and a number of other issues, like defending the LGBT community, despite his running mate's record, as I mentioned before. I mean, despite his record on women, this was a pitch, and Ivanka is a pretty good surrogate for her father. But Trump also tagged on one of his favorite things. It is a position that Bernie also held, and this is anti-TPP position. Promise that he will be a protectionist president. Like it or not, a lot of blue-collar Democrats, a lot of blue-collar voters in general, like that concept. Tried to sound a lot like Richard Nixon tonight. And I'm not saying he's going to have the same success that Richard Nixon did, but I was a little bit concerned. What I saw on that stage tonight was a fascist through and through. All the demeanor was just like what you would expect from a fascist. His presentation and everything. This man is a master at uniting people against the other. If he was a skilled politician, Hillary would not stand a chance. Because history shows that the populist beats the establishment every time. But Trump is not quite the master at politics that he should be as someone who has capitalized on populism. But we come around to this tone that he struck, and I could delve deeper. My biggest concern of the night is something he said about promising the evangelicals that if he was elected president, he would fight to remove the ban of preachers being able to politicize the pulpit. He would remove the threat of them losing their tax-exempt status if they talked about politics. That's a threat to our democracy because it endangers freedom of conscience. But don't worry, the Democrats will tell you, he doesn't stand a chance at winning the presidency. You see, just in the off chance that he does have a shot, I like to be prepared. And I like to be prepared by the Democratic Party doing everything it can to unite the Democratic base in some way. I'm going to go a little bit over the 10-minute time limit here. This is the last time this week that I'll be talking about this, and I'll be talking about the Democratic Convention next week, but One of the concerns I have is that the Democratic Party, they already snubbed the revolution and the progressive base by choosing Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. They already did that much. And honestly, I'm concerned that they're just going a step further. Because they have a real chance to at least bring some Bernie supporters to the table by having Hillary or encouraging Hillary to choose a progressive running mate. Someone who will keep her honest, someone who will give the base of the Democratic Party something to believe in, something to vote for. Security, if you will. That's all we want. I think that the platform being barely progressive is going to suffice? No. Because most of Bernie's supporters never cared about the damn platform because it doesn't mandate anything from the nominee. It doesn't. Not in any way, shape, or form. So, what it comes down to is at least having a good running mate. To make it easier to stomach voting for Hillary Clinton. But the reports are having that Tim Kaine, the former governor of Virginia and current junior senator representing that state, will be her pick. Tim Kaine, from what I've learned so far, has come out just within the past 24 hours praising the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Supports that. He also apparently is actively helping to lobby for deregulating banks, at least in one way or another. Supports fracking, supports offshore oil drilling. And I don't know what else I'm going to uncover as I continue to research this senator's positions. I just know, looking at his performance in the Senate, I haven't been terribly impressed so far. I've never been impressed with any of the Democrats from West Virginia or Virginia anyway, in that part of the country, as they tend to be very weak-kneed. But still, picking a Democrat from Virginia who doesn't have the backbone to stand against the oligarchs is not going to unite the Democratic base. It's not going to unite the Democratic Party. And it only helps to ensure that the convention in Philadelphia is going to be a mess. I have to ask my fellow Democrats, and even my fellow progressives. Well, first I'll ask the Democrats this. How much do you really want to prevent a Trump presidency? Do you really want to? Because if you do, then number one, you should have never nominated Hillary Clinton. You just shouldn't. But now that you have, you should not be sitting back and allowing her to pick someone like Tim Kaine to be her running mate. Like I told a friend of mine, anyone can be an attack dog. But a progressive attack dog, that's going to do the work of both tearing down the other side and getting the base to come out and turn out for you and put you over the top. If Hillary picked Bernie Sanders as her running mate, and I know it's a dream, but if she picked him as her running mate, realize what kind of landslide election we would have in November? I mean, I believe in what Bernie believes, is that we need to not only defeat Trump, we need to defeat him badly. We need to send a message that everything that Trump represents is not welcome in the United States. And my question to my fellow progressives is this. How willing are you to fight for this? To fight for change? To fight for the ideals that you believe in? If you're not ready at all, then we're going to lose in this greater ideological war. And the revolution is lost already. But if you want change, then you better saddle up. Because this fight is only beginning. And the next phase is going to be right in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, starting on Monday, July 25th. Good night.